Hello everyone, Josh here from Learnerific 99, and today I will be giving a tutorial that covers the PTE speaking examination, particularly the read aloud section. I will also be showing you two enabling skills that would actually help you get better grades in this part of the exam. So without further ado, let's get started with the tutorial. Alright, so if this is your first time of actually writing this exam, well, welcome to PTE. You will notice that it is quite different from all the other English exams like your IELTS, your TOEFLs, and your OETs and the likes of them. Why? Because in the speaking of those exams, you're actually speaking to a real human being. In this exam for the PTE, you're speaking to a computer. So you're using a microphone and some headphones and you're talking into that, and the computer will record you. Now, when you're getting to the first part of the speaking, this is the read aloud. The read aloud part is you are meant to read a text that is about a paragraph long text out loud, and you're supposed to finish the paragraph in 40 seconds. Now, you're given an initial 40 seconds to read this text to yourself. My advice is when you're reading this text, read it out loud the first time. The reason why I am saying this is because when you read things in your mind, you don't stumble over words. But when you read it out loud, you will find out that some words are actually difficult to pronounce. And so I don't want you to flip and flop around with these things like the Prime Minister would say. But in a real essence, being serious now, you don't want to stumble over those words. So when you read it out loud the first time and you stumble over them, when the computer is actually doing the recording, it will already register in your brain that you stumbled over this word, and you would have made the correction when you're reading it out loud a second time into the computer. So that is my advice when it comes to the read out loud. Now, we're now talking about the enabling skills. As for the enabling skills, you have two key enabling skills that is being rated as you are doing this examination. Those enabling skills are oral fluency and pronunciation. Now, by definition, pronunciation is the act or result of producing the sounds of speech, including articulation, stress, and intonation, often with reference to some standards of correctness and acceptability. So basically, in this case, you're talking about how you pronounce words. Now, every single word is broken down into into several syllables, So when you're pronouncing them, you're actually pronouncing the syllables one by one. For instance, a word like interrogation is broken into syllables, as you will call it one by one, like interrogation. So those are the syllables in it. So every syllable in a word has different types of stress. Now, when you're preparing for this exam, you should already know this by now, that every word, every syllable in the word has different type of stress. Now, when it comes to oral fluency also, by definition, is a measure of how well and how easily you can communicate your ideas clearly and accurately in speech. Of course, I am talking about English. Now, of course, correct pronunciation of individual sounds and words is very important for fluency. For your listener has to be able to hear and distinguish the words you are saying. So this also applies when you're doing IELTS and all other English aspects as well. This would be rated by them. But for the case of this, a computer is dealing with you, so your oral fluency has to be totally on point. What basically the definition is trying to tell you about the oral fluency is two parts. The oral part is talking about how you stress the words in a sentence, while the fluency part is talking about how pacey you are actually saying the words. So if you're talking too slow, you're not going to finish. If you talk too fast, the computer is going to pick two words as one and grade you as a mispronunciation. That way you will also be getting lesser grades. So if you want to get higher grades, you make sure that you pronounce correctly and you make sure that you do not rush the words. Now, in subsequent videos, I'll be giving you tips on how many seconds you should actually be targeting to finish the sentence or the paragraph, to finish the paragraph. So that is about that on oral fluency and pronunciation. Now, this correlates with some other worries that most of my students have. And what are those worries, or what is that worry? It's particularly in the area of accents. Now, we all know we all have various different accents. Not everyone has, the posh Victorian English accent. So the computer has actually been built to be able to spot different accents from across the world. Everyone talks differently. So basically, what I am talking about is people are scared that if they speak differently, the computer is not going to pick it. But this I have confirmed from one or two experts that actually work directly with PTE. And it has been confirmed that your accent does not affect you. I know a lot of people from the eastern part of the world who have passed this in flying colors. And they have, a particularly different type of accent from the people from the English speaking world. And even if you look at it, people from the English speaking world all have different accent as well. A Canadian talks differently from an Australian. An Australian talks differently from or speaks differently from an American. And the Brits speak differently as well. So everyone has different accents, but this computer has been built to actually, detect them as you speak. Where you might have a problem is if you actually have pronunciation problem with letters in your pronunciation. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about people who mix letters in their pronunciation, such as someone who would want to pronounce the letter L and replace it with R. In that sense, and vice versa, in that sense, people who say things like fried rice, please help me with some curry instead of curry, fried rice instead of fried rice, and things like that, and so on and so forth. This cuts across so many parts of the world. I am not specifically talking about one part of the world, because even in my country, there are tribes that have that problem. In the eastern part of the world, there are people that have the problem. And in, some other countries, they have different sort of problems as well with letterings in their word. So basically, one way to solve that is you could get a speech therapist, or maybe get some other YouTube channels that actually train people how to correct that or something. But because of the duration of time, it is really difficult to correct in the duration of time that you're preparing for this exam. Most people actually dedicate 3 to 4 or 5 weeks to writing this exam. If I were you and I haven't signed up to write this exam yet, and I have this problem whereby certain words are difficult for me to pronounce. For instance, I knew this lady who couldn't pronounce the word she. She always went si, because in her language, that word, sound sh doesn't exist. So I just advised her and said, why not go and write a paper written exam instead? And that really helped her. She did learn, and she did go and write the exam, and she passed it. So if you have that problem, my advice is go that way. Now, how can you improve your oral fluency and your written discourse? Well, this is how I improve my oral fluency, not written discourse, oral fluency and pronunciation. This is how I improved it. I started watching a lot of movies that were made or created in English-speaking countries. And I was very selective about my movies. So if my movies were, a little bit funny and a little bit like less desire, lesser of proper English speaking, I would put those movies aside because they're not going to help me. I mean, how is it that I'm going to be watching a movie that, the English is really bad? So I try to stay away from some of the movies from my country, which, the English for most part of the people that are speaking it is not that great, but there are some actors who are very good with really good oral fluency as well in those movies. But I try to stick to movies that are political in nature, for instance, or series that are political in nature. So I was watching movies like The Manchurian Candidate, movies in that genre, series also in that genre as well, like House of Cards and Designated Survivor and stuff like that. I am not trying to plug this series, but these are the type of series that actually helped me because these actors spoke really good English. I would have recommended medieval movies, but then again, the English that they speak in medieval movies are kind of like old-time English. And so most of them, when they talk about thee, thou art, or thee, though, the computer's not going to recognize that English. So I wouldn't want you to watch that because it would actually go ahead to confuse you some more. So I'd recommend that you stay away from that. Another thing that actually helped me was I started listening to the news a lot more. TV news, radio news, and a lot of radio programs, because most of these people would actually want to use standard English, you know, and not vernacular or some twisted English in their language. So it really helped me. And so if you're not really from an English speaking country, but you want to watch the news to improve your English, if you can have access to, you know, the CNNs and the BBCs of this world, again, not a plug, just trying to help out. You can watch, you know, news from those stations. And, you know, yeah, that is it pretty much. And hopefully this helps you improve your English and you can get better grades for these exams. All right, so that is it from me. But before I go, I want to do a quick callback to my first video. So in my first video, I actually referred to people that are hearing impaired and speech impaired as deaf and dumb. Now, it has since been brought to my notification by some people that I really care about that it is offensive. And so I want to tender my apologies to anybody who knows people who are hearing impaired and speech impaired and found it offensive that I used that statement. That I am really sorry. So please accept my apologies for that. Thank you very much. And so that is it, you guys. Thanks for watching my video, and I hope that you have learned something from my video. Like I said before, in my next video, I will be bringing you tips to what that will help you get better grades for the speaking in general. So the tips that will help you do the exams, and I'll point out common mistakes and common errors that people make when they get into the exam hall that actually does them a lot of detriments in terms of their score. So anyways, thanks you guys for watching this video. Until the next one, please remember, if you like this video, please hit the like button. And you know, if you want more videos from me, please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell notification so that you can get notification whenever I upload my video. Also, if you have any questions for me, please put it in the comment section below and I will try to answer them as much as possible. Remember, this channel is based on giving you tutorials on things that have helped me, and I've used it to help a lot of my friends. So I hope that I will continue to put out videos that will help you. Until the next one, guys, remember, keep learning, stay blessed, and be terrific.
Today, you shall fight for the mantle of the Black Panther.